And so here we have Shetland Apache's Wood Elf army. He's got 4 Deepwood Scouts. One of them has an experienced chevron. 2 War Dancers with Azrai Spears. 2 Hawk Riders. A Forest Dragon. A Great Eagle. A Spell Singer with the Lore of Shadows. And a Glady with the Prey of Anathrema, a Potion of Toughness, and the... What is his ability called? The Eye of Kurnos, the missile damage aura. And then, for Ondjage, our alleged Total War Warhammer superstar, I suppose, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Peasant Bowmen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Men-at-Arms with shields. 2 Grail Knights. 2 Mounted Yeomen. Let's say that word. 1 Royal Pegasus Knight. A Damsel with the Lore of Life and Earthblood, Life Bloom, and that ability called Awakening of the Wood, I think. That's more or less true, or accurate. And Alberic de Bordelot riding a griffin. Or a hippogriff, maybe? I think the Bretonnian dude ride hippogriff. So Ondjage's army is actually pretty straightforward, right? A ton of archers, a ton of men-at-arms, and some hard-hitting cavalry, and some kind of expendable cavalry.
It shall be done. Advance.
So, kind of the idea here from Shetland's Wood Elf army is that he's got a lot of flying units that are pretty hard-hitting, so he wants to be able to catch some units in the air, you know, the Pegasus Knights or the Alberic de Bordelot, and just overpower them with all of his powerful flying units. Got all these Deepwood Scouts that are invisible until they start shooting. They're just kind of there to harass the army. Also run away at the same time. And the War Dancers are just kind of like the things to deal with cavalry. Right, so it looks like we're getting our first bit of action here. He's looking like he's trying to snipe this damsel, but he's not going to be able to. Meanwhile, the peasant bowmen are getting some damage in, but not really that much. Spellsinger with the Lore of Shadows just casting Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma on these Grail Knights and doing quite a lot of damage, actually. I did not realize that this spell did that. It looks like an Earthblood being cast on the Grail. Get them back up to full HP. Royal Pegasus Knights moving towards the Deepwood Scouts. Ton of arrows going out. Didn't really do that much damage. For 2 full volleys, I feel like you might have expected a little bit. And now Ondjage knows where the rest of the army. What was that spell just now? It was probably a Mystifying Miasma. Yep. It's good for the kiting army. It's actually doing quite a decent amount of damage, and it slows them too. Grail Knights coming in towards these Deepwood Scouts.
With haste! At speed!
And I mean, they're running away and shooting, but they're not doing enough damage to these Grail Knights to really deal with the unit. And all of the flying units are way too far away. Now, some of the Deepwood Scouts are getting caught out already. The War Dancers with the Azrai Spears will be able to do a lot of damage if they get on top of the units, but Ondjage is already disengaging. The War Dancers are not going to be able to get in on those. Grail Knights successfully charging into this unit of Deepwood Scouts. Over here, a lot of the peasant bowmen have been attacked by Shetland's flying units, but the peasant bowmen are quite a bit less valuable than the Deepwood Scouts. So I think that Ondjage is still getting the better end of these trades right now.
Very well, as you say.
Getting in on these Grail Knights though, and these Grail Knights were already pretty low before they even charged in, so it looks like these Grail Knights are going to die for sure. They are immune to psychology, but they've only got 700 health left, and most of the models are dead. But the Glady is taking a pretty large amount of damage. They are all starting to clump up on in this big air battle. But there's no range support for Shetland's army. There's tons of range support for Ondjage's army. And over here, the Grail Knights are still going ham on these Deepwood Scouts. The men-at-arms charging into the Deepwood Scouts and the Azrai Spears, still just trying to catch the Grail Knights at all. And it looks like this ranged engagement hasn't gone very well for our Wood Elf player, losing most of his Hawk Riders, losing a ton of health on his Glady, and even losing a lot of health on his Forest Dragon, which is now looking like it's going to rout. And he doesn't have any healing because he's chosen the Spellsinger with the Lore of Shadows instead of the Lore of Life. So any damage he takes is permanent. These Grail Knights over here may finally die, but not before they get 120 kills on what are almost all most likely very valuable Deepwood Scouts. And the map, and the game ends. Pretty decisive victory for our Bretonian player. Alright, so here we are in our game. Dude, I cannot tell you how many times they changed the map in that lobby. They must have done it like, I don't know, a dozen map changes or more. But here we are in the game. So, starting with our Beastman player, we have 4 Gore Herds, 2 Chaos Warhounds, one of them with poison, and on the other side, same thing with the Chaos Warhounds, so 4 total. Have Harpies, 2 Chaos Giants, or just Giants I guess, but they're Chaos Giants. An Ungor Spearman herd, a Bray Shaman with the Lore of Shadows, Morgur the Shadowgave, and what is this? 2 more Harpies? Oh no, he moved this Harpy over, so it's just 2 Harpies. Then our Wood Elf player has 4 Wild Riders, Deepwood Scouts with Swift River Shards, 2 Treekin, 3 War Dancers, a Spellsinger with the Lore of Life, and a Glady with the Prey of Anathrema, the Arrow of Kurnos, and the Potion of Toughness. So these Harpies already right on these Wild Riders, but they're not going to be able to catch them. I mean, they're actually a tiny bit faster. Faster. But if they get poisoned or something, they won't be able to. Oh, these guys aren't poisoned. They're Swift Shiver Sharp. That means they're going to do a ton of damage. This is actually really hard to keep track of with all this forest. Alright, Wild Riders getting engaged by the Gore herds. That's not exactly an engagement that they want a lot of. The Glady diving in on the Gore herds. The Wild Riders can take a favorable trade against the Gore herds, but not if they're like just stuck in a melee. War Dancers coming in. The Deepwood Scouts are doing quite a bit of damage to these Harpies. And there's another engagement over here between Wild Riders and Chaos Warhounds, and it looks like the Wild Riders are winning out for now, but there's a unit of Gore herds coming up to help, and that'll probably be able to turn the favor of that battle. More Warhounds running around fighting Wild Riders. Wild Riders will usually win that fight, but they're also... or they would usually rather be doing other things. There's a big melee in here. The two giants getting in on there, kind of messing stuff up. The Morgur is in there too. Where's the Glady? Helping these Deepwood Scouts deal with the Harpies. And our Gore herd over here done pretty well against these Wild Riders, but they are pulling out now. And most of the Chaos Warhounds have been routed and dealt with at this time, and as well as the Harpies. So most of the remaining Beastmen units are all right here. And it's a very powerful little army with the two giants to consider. But it is very centralized. What's the button? N? Yeah, look at that. Zoom out a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Alright, everything's fighting. Trying to get some units onto the forest to drag in the Glade Lord rides. The Wild Riders charging in to help the Glady. Alright, that's enough of that. Harpies coming in, looking like they want to get onto these Deepwood Scouts again. That was a very interesting charge that they just did. It didn't really land on any unit. These Gore herds kind of rallying, and they're running in to try and help again. These Wild Riders are not having it. Lady doing another charge onto the... what is this? Gray Shaman, right? That's what they're called? Morgur is just kind of over here fighting some Wild Riders. And the Chaos Giants are getting onto that Glady, and Glady's strong, but not strong enough to fight two giants and win. The Treekin are absorbing quite a lot of damage, though. Press spacebar. Oh! Anyways. This giant here starting to look pretty low, and this giant even lower. Probably put away the information scroll. That's something I forget to do a lot. And this giant is going to be routed right here. The Gray Shaman running away as well. This Chaos Giant trying his best, but it's not looking like he's going to be able to do it. And what little remains of our Beastman army is being picked apart. And now pretty much all we've got left is Morgur and this Chaos. And I mean, there's just so much Wood Elf here, ready to pick him apart. And that's going to be the end of that match.